Let us talk about the digits that we normally enter in the FMGS, the idle factor. Yes, I will talk about the performance factor in another video. To change the idle factor, we will type ARM and these numbers will turn blue. Once it does, you are able to change it. Clear ARM so the digits turn to green. Remember that we cannot change green numbers. Do check out this video for more info. Now, idle factor. What has this got to do with our flight? Let us take an example. You are cleared to descend by air traffic control, but you are unable to follow your descent profile and have to resort to using your speed brakes. Sometimes this can be caused by erroneous wind data inserted into the FMGS. But then you ask, what has this idle factor got to do with the need to use speed brakes? Well, the idle factor will affect the vertical descent profile of your plane. First off, all performance database is inserted by the engineers. But where do engineers get these numbers? Engineers have this tool called the IFP, In-Flight Performance Software, to calculate specific performances of the plane. When the aircraft is brand new, fresh out of the factory, the engineers will adjust the idle thrust rate to the IFP value. So when the aircraft is fresh, the idle factor for use at delivery is at 0%. If the idle factor is changed, it means that the engineers have used the idle factor to represent the actual idle rate of the engine. Over the years, the idle factor will change. Why? Due to wear and tear of the engine, the performance will degrade over time. And also, not all engines are made the same. You can have identical twins and their personalities will be totally different. Depending on the idle factor value, the aircraft will modify the position of the top of the set for it to be earlier or later. If the idle factor is set too high, say for example the FMGS idle thrust is above the real aircraft thrust, it would mean that the top of descent calculated is way too early. This will cause the vertical profile to be less steep than necessary. The descent will take longer than what it's supposed to be. The auto thrust will then have no choice but to apply a higher engine thrust. Because of this, you will burn more fuel. So next question, what happens if the idle factor is too low? Now, the FMGS idle thrust is below the real aircraft thrust. The computer will then calculate, hey buddy, you should descend later. So it will make the vertical profile so much steeper. Whee! You get a shorter descent profile based on track modes. There is no buffer or margin. Once you get a tailwind, you might be high in profile. This is similar to setting a higher speed for descent. Say if you set 270 knots for descent and you set 300 knots for descent. Well, your descent profile will be steeper if you set at 300 knots compared to the 270. You also burn more fuel because the aircraft is in cruise for a much longer period of time. The question is, can you as a pilot change the idle factor on your own? Nope, it is up to the airline to decide on that. Moral of the story is that the idle factor is used to adjust the FMGS descent profile. So as much as we can try to make the idle factor as close as we can to the real aircraft thrust. Always bear in mind that the engine will degrade over the years. A value that is not correct can result in an unoptimized descent profile. The question is, who will help us with this value? NavBlue is a subsidiary that will help Airbus and airlines to determine this number. Also, you might ask, what is descent profile optimization, or DPO for short? In order to save fuel, the aircraft will push the top of descent later to descend later than usual. The result is similar to using open descent during descending. The only issue with this is if you use engine NTIs and wing NTIs during descent, you might have to use speed brakes later on. Share this video with your friends if you find this useful, and I'll see you in the next one.